Hello, and welcome to the Mountain Mystic Podcast. I'm your host, Katie Hemphill, and as always, I am so happy to be here with you today for a conversation. And yes, practice. You guys know how I love to weave in practice to my words over here to invite you to have more of an experience than just simply you over there taking in my words. As important as that is, here we get to play in the weaving between me over here chatting at you and you getting to have your own experience. This is what we do in the embodiment work that serves the foundation of everything I do. And with that, what I have for you guys today is a topic that once again takes us into the heart, the core, the soul of what we are doing here with the Mountain Mystic podcast and what we are doing on all of my platforms. And what this topic, this theme does for us today is bring us back to the mountain as our main archetypal figure here on the Mountain Mystic podcast. For me, myself as well, someone who is owning the title of the Mountain Mystic these days. The mountain being my muse, the mountain being my most favorite playground, my favorite space to get outside, be in direct connection to this earth, as I am in direct connection to self, expressing myself as freely as I can in all the wild and beautiful and magical ways that I do. So what we get to do today is to bring our attention to the mountain once again as an archetype, as a, yes, very real, very physical part of this earth. And more than this today, as an archetype, as a source of wisdom for us to learn from and to embody so that we can move through life with more of those powerful characteristics that are so powerfully embodied by the mountain herself. Now, before diving into that, a few words to mention what's going on in this space and our surrounding spaces. Number one, I did just release a YouTube video that is going to do somewhat of the same that we are doing here on this podcast today, but bring you more directly into that embodiment of the mountain. This is really a practice focused video. It is a video that I actually recorded after one of our priestesses of a new earth circles. And I love, love, love recording these videos for you guys right after I do circle. Circle being a space where me and the amazing group of women that have sort of formed the core, the inner circle of our community. This is a circle where we get to dive deep, deep, deep into practice and to be in this embodiment space in a truly magical and deeply grounded way. It is a space where we get to, yes, call in the magic, dance in the mystical nature of reality, and also ground into reality in a way that demands that, we don't just hang out in the airy-fairy, but be moved into action, be moved into skillful action. And that alignment that I am so often speaking to, that alignment piece, that alignment, which is, yes, another powerful characteristic of the mountain, that alignment on your journey through life. This is another thing that the mountain teaches, right? This journey through life, this sacred journey through life. That is your journey. That is your journey of ascension, you heading off in whatever direction you are best meant to go, taking each step as skillfully as possible. Tuning into self when you think you may have veered off course, tuning in for maybe some of that higher guidance to help you again move into that alignment, to keep you on your path, the path that you are here to walk. And I say that and I'm sort of pinged that it's not a path, it's all the paths. It's all the wild and beautiful and amazing and often challenging paths that you and I and all of us get to find ourselves on in life. This is such a powerful teaching of the mountain herself. So yes, once you're done listening to this episode, check out the link in the show notes that will bring you straight to the YouTube video. Also, if you want to go deeper in practice, come join us in Circle. Our Priestesses of a New Earth Circle is happening twice a month. This month, too, if you're listening in October, we have a special circle. It is part of this expansion that is unfolding as, this circle has been going on for a year and a half, and there's so much we've built up in this space. And, I'm sitting here at a time where it's ready to show up in different ways, in different specialized circles. It's also now showing up in a brand new blog space. I've created a new Substack that will enable us to focus more fully on the mystical, on the magical nature of what we do here. It is a Substack that is devoted to exploring Earth's mysteries. More specifically, the mysteries that are unfolding in connection to Earth. I believe it in my heart and soul and also my mind, because at this point, I have had enough of these experiences to be convinced that there is something happening here on planet Earth during these wild times. Oh my gosh, we are in wild times, you guys. Just flip open your phone, look at the news. My God, there is so much chaos in the world. There is so much darkness in the world. Big things are happening. Big shaking ups are happening. And while we can let these times tear us down, bring our own selves into darkness, we can also choose to allow ourselves to be moved, shifted, changed, transformed by these times for the better, to allow these times to wake us up to the next degree so that we can show up in this life embodied as the physical, biological human beings that we are, alive on this planet Earth. We can allow these dark, wild, chaotic times that have been brought about by mankind, ourselves, and that side of mankind that is deeply unskillful, that is ruled by ego and wounding, and that has a worldview that, that path up a mountain is about that which only serves self, and that which only serves self superficially, because that's to a large degree where these people live, right? And unfortunately, these people have gained power and they are pushing their worldview on the rest of us, as well as the lands that make up planet Earth. And it's terrible. It's a terrible time to witness and to experience. But again, we can choose. We can choose to, well, you can ignore it if you have that privilege, but not everybody does. You can choose to be taken down by it, or you can choose to witness it and to be in it to a degree that's aligned, such that you get to show up in the spaces that matter, in the spaces where you can make an impact, and you yourself can be awakened, can be shifted, changed, transformed by it all for the better, so that you can walk through life more skillfully, more aligned. Okay, that's all I'm going to say on that today. God. Oh, I could go into it, but I'm not going to. I'm going to dip our toes into it today. Going to nod to the fact that it's happening. Then I'm going to direct our attention to where it best serves. And again, today, just rounding off this portion of the podcast here, speaking to the fact that, yes, I love this podcast. I love coming to you in this way, but this isn't the only way that I have available to interact with you. So find me on YouTube, find me on Substack. I now have 2 Substacks. I have the We Are the Forest Substack, that one that has been going on for years and years and years, where we get to really focus on more of the, shall I say, physical, biological meets spiritual world. It's a very eco-based Substack. I get to talk about the ecological restoration, the forest regeneration I'm doing over on that Substack, and also the new Substack, a space where we get to dive more fully into the mystical and the magical, because it too is real and it matters. All right, lots of other places. Make sure you're subscribed to the Upward Slopes newsletter. You can do that at upwardslopes.com so that you are tuned into all of it. Okay, with that, let's get back to the podcast topic. Let's get back to the mountain. So let's just take a moment to shift a little bit more into practice mode. So wherever you are, whatever you're doing, that's perfect. But to whatever degree you're able, letting go of any distractions that you're able. I know that we love to listen to our podcasts while multitasking. So if you're driving, I understand that. If you're cleaning the house, I understand that. But for a moment, to whatever degree you are able, and of course able to do safely, releasing the distractions that you can and breathing a little bit deeper into your body. Finding your feet on the floor, your seat in the chair, that physical connection to the earth beneath you. And breathing deeper down into your body, feeling into that expansion of your rib cage as you inhale, taking a nice, slow, full, deep inhale, breath in. And at the top of your inhale, just letting your inhale flow naturally into your exhale. Nice, long, slow, full exhale. Just a few simple yet deep breaths like that. Maybe with each breath, you breathe a little bit deeper. Breathing down into your rib cage. Maybe dropping down through your diaphragm. Breathing down into your abdomen. Really feeling into that 3-dimensional expansion of your body. Breathing as your body. What you're really doing here with these grounding breaths is becoming more present, more attuned to that physical nature of your body. We're grounding here. Again, feeling that physical ground beneath you, whatever it is. Your seat on the chair, your feet on the floor, as you continue these deep breaths, feeling into the expansion of your body. As you inhale, then letting your inhale flow organically into the exhale and allowing that nice release to happen on your exhale. With your exhale, you can hold this intention to just let go of anything that might be taking up space in your consciousness that doesn't serve to be here. Maybe you're thinking about the future, making plans. Maybe you're anxious about something happening later today. And with your exhale, you can hold this simple yet powerful intention to let go of anything that's holding space in your consciousness that doesn't serve to be here. So we're just going to take a few more grounding breaths like this. Grounding down into self, centering in self. And then from this space, again, to whatever degree you were safely able to do so, breathing even deeper down into Earth herself, bringing your consciousness down into the ground beneath you, and breathing down with Earth herself. Taking a few breaths here, finding that even deeper grounding connection with Earth. As you continue those deep grounding breaths in your body, it's this sort of earth-body connection that you're doing here, simply yet powerfully. And then coming back up into self, breathing fully into your body. And from this space, expanding your consciousness, your awareness, your attention outward. Breathing into the earth around you. Maybe that's in the room you're in. Maybe that's in your immediate environment. If you're blessed like I am, maybe you get to live in a mountain town in a forest and you can expand just outside the building you're in and be present with a whole forest and a whole mountain range and the canyons that are here. But that's me. As you expand outward, what do you connect into? How does Earth herself show up in connection for you today? Continuing those deep grounding breaths into your body as you expand your awareness outward. And then when you're ready, once again, coming back into self, breathing into your body, centering in self. Centering in self, now grounded and centered in self. We're going to move forward with this conversation on the mountain as an archetype, the mountain as this source of wisdom for us to embody as we move through life on our own journeys. Now, if you remember, right, I opened this podcast episode today by speaking to this topic really being the heart, the core, the soul of our work here on the Mountain Mystic podcast. Me over here calling myself the Mountain Mystic, speaking to you to the best of my ability, this wisdom of the mountain. This is what we're doing here. This is what we are doing here on this podcast. And really in all the spaces I show up is speaking the wisdom of the mountain as a part of Earth herself. I'm going to say this one again, but I'm going to say it a little bit differently. this ability to know self as part of Earth herself. I've done a lot of archetypal embodiment work, and the type of archetypal embodiment work I've done has been incredible. It has truly transformed me. This ability to call in all these different archetypes, whether they be gods or goddesses, different mythical figures, etc., etc. One thing I've noticed lacking is this archetypal embodiment that reminds us that we are Earth herself. And it's the mountain as one form that showed up for me as this way to, yes, remember that we are Earth herself, the mountain as her own beautiful, spectacular form, rising up as Earth herself. So it's feeling into that. Maybe you feel into that by really feeling that ground deep beneath you. Breathing deep down through your body and down into that earth deep below you. Calling upon the mountain to help you remember that you yourself are Earth herself. And what arises for you as I say this? What images do you get? What kind of words or maybe messages bounce in your head? Maybe you experience feeling or sensation in your body. What arises for you as I speak these words? You rising up as Earth herself. I know for me, I feel it deep in my body, deep in my root. I feel it. It's this remembering. It's a remembering of my body. It's like the cells in my body vibrating as they remember that I am Earth herself. But what's here for you? I'm going to give you a minute to sit with this. And as always, if you want longer to sit in this practice, you can hit that pause button. But I'm just going to give you a few seconds here to sit in this remembering, this knowing, you rising up as Earth herself. So I've been surrounded by mountains my whole life, being born and raised here in northern New Mexico at the base of the Rocky Mountains, here in the Sangre de Cristo is what I often refer to as the tailbone of the Rocky Mountains. I was born and raised here and left for a while, but was drawn back, and now get to spend my days running and hiking or just being up in the mountains. And I remember back all the way back to childhood, driving up through these mountains, driving up on the way to Denver and Boulder to visit my sister up there. I remember driving up through all these mountains and I'd cast my gaze out the window and they'd just hold my gaze the entire car ride. And I remember, this hint of knowing, even back then, that the mountains were there holding us, that the mountains were holding me, that the mountains were holding the whole of the land. So, feeling into this, and I can feel into this as I look out my window and cast my gaze out on the Sangre de Cristos, right? Casting my gaze across this wide valley up to the mountains that rise up from the valley floor, rising up, holding the forest, and rising up even higher above tree line, their peaks shining so brightly with the first of the snow for the season. So I can look at my window and feel this, but maybe you want to close down your eyes and feel into this one. The way that the mountains themselves hold us. They hold the whole of the land as they rise up as part of Earth herself. And as they rise up as Earth herself, they create the form that holds all the surrounding lands. Yes, of course, there's the forests and all of life that rise up atop the mountain. But feeling into this one, the way gazing out at a mountain, the mountain holds the land that you sit or stand upon. So in closing down your eyes and visualizing that mountain rising up before you. So you're sitting or standing as your gaze lifts up, craning your neck up through the forest, up to the high peak, and feeling into that way that the mountain holds the whole of the land that you are standing or sitting on. Feeling into that. And what is invoked in you as you feel into this? What images, what messages, what inner knowings, what sensations or other feelings? What's invoked in you as you sit there and gaze up at the mountain, as you feel into the way that the mountain holds the whole of the land? So even as a young child, I felt held by the mountain. I've never really lived way up on the mountain, but I have lived sort of down in the valleys and the lower parts of the mountain. And there's this way we can look up at the mountain, or even riding in the car, driving up to Denver, craning my neck to look up at these mountains. I could feel it. I could feel into the way these mountains hold the land. I'm going to put more words to this, right? There's this structure. There's this masculine structure, this holding structure. But in it, there's also a deeply powerful feminine nature of that holding. So feeling into that masculine structure that holds, but also that feminine nature that holds. This is the one thing I love about the mountain, is that it holds the masculine and the feminine. It's a very specific something to play with there. Maybe that means something to you, maybe it doesn't. But for me, again, as someone who's spent a lot of time in archetypal work, right? Archetypal work, we often are hanging out in a space where we're really intentionally embodying a masculine or a feminine figure. And in this case, the mountain. What I love about the mountain is she comes to us already in union. I call her she, but I could call her a he. Different mountains to me tend to have different, lean into different energies. Some were masculine, some were feminine. But really, it doesn't matter, right? It's not something to get hung up on. The point being that the mountain comes to us in this powerful union of masculine and feminine energies, which is something we just don't often get in our lives, especially when it comes to spiritual work. So thought it worthy of putting some words to that there. If it's something that piques your curiosity, I'd be happier to dive into that topic at a different time. But for now, again, just dipping our toes into it. Okay, there's one more way I want to play with this archetype, the mountain here, for a moment. And again, speaking to the fact that we do this in a much deeper way in that video that I just posted. So with this last one, if you want to go deeper after this episode, go check out that video linked in the show notes. For this last one, what I want to do here is take you on a little journey up the mountain. So as you're sitting here, now standing here, let's be standing. If you physically want to stand, that's awesome. If you want to close your eyes and visualize yourself standing. As you're standing here looking up at the mountain, gazing up at the mountain, noticing the trees, the whole forest that covers most of this mountain, but craning your neck even higher, you notice the land above the trees. Here in the Rocky Mountains, I'm blessed to live by these tall, tall mountains where there's so much land that exists even high above the trees, this alpine environment that brings forth such a special landscape. So turning your attention to this land above the trees, this alpine environment. Maybe you've been up there physically before, maybe not, but what I want to do is take you on a little journey up the mountain, up through the forest. Take a little journey up through the forest. Again, if you haven't yet, closing down your eyes and envisioning these steps, this walking through the forest, taking these steps through the forest and noticing, using your inner vision, but also your other senses. What do you feel? Maybe you notice smells. Maybe you can even hear something as you walk through this forest. What do you notice? Is there anything that the trees, or maybe there's other life, maybe there's animals, maybe there's a creek, a waterfall, maybe there's wildflowers here. What shows up for you? What is here for you as you take your walk through the forest? And is there anything here that this forest wants to gift you? Maybe there's a message for you. Maybe there's something else for you here too. So I just want to give you a moment. Just take a walk through this forest. Taking a walk through the forest. What is here? Your inner vision and all the other sensations. Tuning into your inner sight, your inner hearing, smell, those deeper feelings in your body. What's here for you as you're walking through the forest? And now as you continue your walk through the forest, noticing as you continue this journey upward, up through the forest, climbing up this mountain, making your way through the forest, noticing that the trees are starting to thin out. There's more light from that sun so powerful up above that is radiating down through as you continue these steps through the forest, climbing up this mountain, the trees thinning out around you. You notice more blue in the sky and more light shining down from above. Continuing to take these steps, and before you know it, you look around. No trees here to obstruct your view. Instead, as you turn, you are now free to take in this wide expanse. As you find yourself in the alpine, in the realm above the trees, as you're making your way towards that high peak, noticing that high peak up above you as you continue to take those steps, that sun, that full force of sun radiating down upon you as you take it all in. What is here for you to take in? What views are here? And letting the images in your mind's eye go wild as you take in it all. More than this feeling in your body, what is invoked in your body? Really calling in that sun, that bright light from up above, letting it radiate down through you, letting it fill you as you continue to make your way to the very top, making your way to the very top, that highest point, the peak, at which point you get to stand, look around, your view completely unobstructed, and take it all in. So what is here? What is here for you to take in? Again, through your inner vision, but also all your other senses. Maybe you hear something, maybe you smell something. And what do you feel? What do you feel as you stand here at this highest point, view completely unobstructed, free to take it all in? What do you see? What do you see? What is here for you to receive? Feeling free to hit that pause button if you'd like to hang here longer. But as all mountain climbers know, the peak, as magical as it is not here for us to exist in eternity. The peak is a moment. We've done the whole journey, worked so hard to get to the top, to soak it all in. What's here? What's the gift that's here for you to take it in and taking it with you as you turn around, begin your journey back down? So, turning your attention now to that journey back into self, breathing into your body, feeling into your body, finding your feet, your seat in connection to that physical surface beneath you. Coming back to your body. Maybe wiggling your fingers, your toes. Taking time to reorient fully in self. So as someone who, started identifying with the mountain years ago and a couple of years ago, started calling myself the mountain mystic, really, really devoting myself to this archetype that is the mountain. Well, it turns out that, as I've learned in this time, the number of ways that we can bring the mountain through us and into our lives. Well, the list of practices goes on and on and on. So this is just a little look into some of the ways you can call in the mountain, embody the mountain, work with the mountain. And it's my hope that you've had at least one, if not a few, powerful experiences here. Maybe one of these practices was powerful enough that you want to go back and go deeper. Maybe you're like, more, I want more. And you want to reach out to me and learn all the different ways that we can help to invoke the mountain in you. And I'm gonna start to close us down. This has been more of a practice focus episode than I thought, which I love because I love bringing you guys practice. But to close down with some words, bring us full circle, ground us back into reality, speak to why this matters. And again, speaking to this matters because, again, we are in wild times. And as we find ourselves as a collective humanity, as well as a whole collective web of life on planet Earth right now, we are in wild times, and we are in times where there are powerful forces at play that are bringing us in a direction that we really best not be going. If you're with me, if you listen to my podcast, then I know you are someone whose values align with nature, whose values align with life and the ability for each and all of us to express freely in our highest forms. And there are powerful forces at play that are actively working against this. And as we find ourselves in the chaos that's being stirred up by these powerful forces, again, we have to be asking ourselves the important questions having to do with how we navigate through it all. And it's these sort of archetypes, the mountain being our muse here at the Mountain Mystic, that can help guide us through it all with more skill. And one more note here, one powerful note. If, I can bring you all the practices that, I have the capacity to bring you. I can bring you the mountain through, 10,000 different journeys. And that, I bet, would be quite the benefit to you. Beyond this, this is the real power of archetypes, is that you don't really need me to speak to her. If you want to have a powerful experience with the mountain, call in the Mountain Mystic. I'm here to help you. But what I'm trying to say is, at any moment, you yourself can call in the mountain. You can ask for her wisdom, for her guidance. If you're facing a challenge, if you don't know which way to go, if you're facing a challenge and you don't find that you're quite as grounded as you want to be, if you're facing a challenge and you find yourself becoming misaligned, at any point in life, no matter what's happening, you can call upon the mountain for guidance. She'll help you. She will. But also, listen to my podcasts and watch my videos and do the practices I have for you and come to Circle and be in this community. Of course, only if that serves for you. Okay, guys, it's time to close down. Once again, one more note to join this community in all the ways that speak to you. I hope you're already subscribed here. If you're not already, a reminder to hit that subscribe button. If you've enjoyed this podcast, if you've gotten something out of it, please share with a friend, share on your Facebook community or wherever you find yourself in community. And of course, find me in all those other spaces I'm showing up. Find me on YouTube, find me on Substack. Make sure you are subscribed to the Mountain Mystic newsletter. You can do that at upwardslopes.com. One last thing to say here. Since you're hanging out with me at the end here, it has been a few months since I have sat down to record a podcast. I have done that for a specific reason because once again, I've found myself not fully centered, not fully aligned with what the mission, what the focus of the podcast is, and And so I've given myself time. I've given myself a few months to step away from recording and to really think about the direction this podcast is going. And in that time, I have found that realignment. I have gathered up a whole bunch of guests because I know it's time to start bringing guests onto this podcast. And I've also, gotten more focused on the topics that I want to bring to you in these solo episodes. And this is the first one that came through. Again, really centering ourselves on the mountain, on this earth embodiment, on the spiritual paths, all these wild and beautiful, messy paths that we find ourselves on in life. Anyway, so I will be back soon with more episodes. I will be back sometime in the near future with guests, something I'm super excited to add to this podcast. All right, thank you so much for hanging out with me today, and I look forward to catching you next time.